So if you're not, make sure it's happening somehow, okay? Now, we also highly recommend biannual detoxification, where you go through a detox process for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, just to clean the junk out of your system. One of the reasons we put weight on is because the body's trying to protect us from the toxins that we absorb from our food and from the environment. The body will build fat reserves and also store water to make you more of an edema type situation, because it can put the toxins there and keep them away from the vital organs. And so one of the reasons people have a hard time losing weight is because the body says, I don't want to release this fat, because if I do, the toxins are going to get loose and damage things. You've got to be detoxed first in order to let the fat reduction take place and have weight loss. Come on in. So that's one of the reasons, and we give you the chair. That's one of the reasons a lot of people have a hard time losing weight, because they're so toxic. And when we do a detox here, it's not unusual to lose anywhere from 5 to 12 pounds just in that first 2 to 3 weeks because of detoxification. Okay. Now, the other thing here, of course, a good diet. And basically, those of you who are already patients know that the rules of dietary health are very, very simple. They can't, when it comes down to specific foods, that's more of a personal choice, but it's very simple. Number one, if you want to eat like people did, basically back, let's say, a couple hundred years ago. If you lived in Boston during the Revolutionary War, on a farm, how would you have eaten? You wouldn't have had Cheetos and McDonald's hamburgers and soda pop. They mostly, especially if you're out of ways, you would have used your sweetener would have been honey. You would have had food grown organically. It was the only way they could do it. And you would have fresh fish. Your animals would have been either wild or raised without antibiotics and without hormones. That's how they ate. Back then, it was rare to see cancer. Heart disease didn't really show up till the early 1900s. In fact, if you were a medical doctor coming out of medical school back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, and you wanted to be a cardiologist, we thought you were insane, you'd starve. There was hardly ever any heart attacks. By the 1960s, we were having like somewhere around, I think, around 600,000 a year. What changed? You can directly relate it to the amount of sugar consumption. We started out with the average individual back in the late 1800s at maybe 5 pounds of sugar a year. Nowadays, it's 160 pounds per person per year. Now, I don't get very much sugar, so somebody's getting a whole lot more than that. More like around 200 pounds or more per year. That's a lot of sugar.
And so you really mean the pure sugar?
I'm talking pure, refined, in the bag sugar. We're not talking about just what's also, maybe from just eating food that's already refined. Now remember, starch is just bundled sugar. So white flour, white rice, white crackers, white tortillas, you're just eating sugar. For example, you take a baked potato, you cut it in half, or you open it up, and you take out all the white potato, you fill that peel with sugar. That's how much sugar equivalent you're getting. Okay? I want to show you a couple of things here. The patient emailed me this. I've got a friend that's going to try to make a poster with all these different pictures. Each one of the sugar cubes is a teaspoon. Now, you'd expect a lot with soda pop, wouldn't you? Things like that. And here you've got a McDonald's milkshake, and you've got a good old, what is this? It's Jimba juice, but they make it with sherbet. You go to Jimba Juice, just get the juice, get real fruit, vegetable and fruit juice. If you make one of their smoothies for it, all the sugar you're getting. Now, as you go along here, here's what a lot of folks aren't aware. Here's fruit juice. This is good old orange juice. Look at all the sugar in orange juice. Okay. You get down here a little more, cookies and stuff like that, candy bars. Of course, there's a lot of sugar, isn't there? When you start getting down to the natural stuff, look how little you're getting. Now, sugar, this is also complex sugars versus refined sugar. When you're getting it with fruit and vegetables, there isn't very much. You look here at these other fruits, some are more glycemic unfriendly than others. You see there's more bananas and oranges and stuff. I just wish they'd sent something like this showing like what was in a bagel or something like that, a bagel, a slice of bread, or a pile of spaghetti, but they didn't do that. But we're trying to get this turned into a poster that we kind of fun to have. There's a lot of sugar in these processed refined foods. Cancer loves sugar. First thing we do with any patient that comes in with has had a tumor or is currently fighting cancer, 0 sugar. We don't catch any slack. Immediate. Because it's going to kill you if you don't. Okay? Type C hepatitis, same thing. You know, those of you that have been patients, kind of gone through some of the nutritional stuff we do to gradually wean you off of things. You come in with type C hepatitis, you come in with stage anything, cancer, sugar's gone, just like that, it's got to. It's hard on you, because sugar is very similar structurally to cocaine. That's why it's addictive. Yeah. That's why you like it, white powder, white powder. They're structurally similar, cocaine is much, much more powerful, but sugar does a similar thing, it's addictive. You don't think so, and you're quite a sugar eater, cut it off 100% and see how you feel. You'll get shaky, you'll get grumpy, you'll get agitated, you won't feel good, you'll have a hard time sleeping until your system settles down. That's what sugar does to you. And it's not that sugar is evil, but we don't want the refined stuff.
Just something that I was told a long time ago, and may not be true, but I was told that using sugar, just sugar cane, purified sugar that we use today, that white sugar, it started out as being a drug in South America to help very weak sick people, and they had like a grain of it to give them some energy.
It goes back even further than that. Go read the book by William Duffy called Sugar Blues. It's a great book, very entertaining, little paperback, and he talks about the whole history of sugar. And that particular book, he talks about how it was originally used as a medication by physicians because it would help revive people who were really wiped out. And they were using fairly, pretty crude sugar because they couldn't pull all the B vitamins out of it. Now you get sucanate, which is unrefined sugar cane juice. It's been crystallized. That's a whole food. Now, there's still a fair amount of carb in it. I don't want you sitting around eating tons of it, but that's much, much better than your refined sugar. Now another problem with refined sugar, the white stuff, is bleaching agent they use in it. That bleaching agent is very hostile towards the little cells in your pancreas that make insulin. It will destroy them. So not only are you giving your poor pancreas a super stimulation to put all this insulin out, you're killing the very cells that do it. It's getting double whammy every time you eat sugar. Okay, sugar does a ton of things to you. You can go on to Mercola.com and plug in sugar. He's got a thing about the effects of sugar. It's from Dr. Applegate, I think her name. She is the one that wrote this book about sugar and its effects, and she lists over 76 things that sugar does to you. There's more like about 140 something. He just lists about 76, but there's more than that if you read the book. And it's everything. Cancer, knocks down your immune system. Sugar, in fact, when you get onto this thing here, in fact, you go down here on the part here, it knocks down the immune system because it raises insulin. What it'll do is it can knock out your immune system for up to 5 hours. And so let's say you had sugar for breakfast, and your cereal, coffee, whatever. So you had breakfast at 7 o'clock. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, noon, you have lunch. What do you have? Well, you have something again with sugar in it. Next 5 hours, your immune system never gets going. And so here comes the flu, here comes the cold. The bugs are always with you, folks. I can take any one of you here, take a medical swab out your throat or your nose, send it to the lab, they'll find all kinds of bacteria in there. They're always with you, but they don't do anything because your immune system keeps them suppressed. When the immune system weakens, they start to multiply and divide and cause disease, okay? This is what Bouchard was trying to say. And it's not the bug, it's how weak the territory or the body is. And so you always have these things there, but they don't cause a problem as long as the immune system's strong. When you take sugar, you, in essence, knock down your immune system. Now, how does that work? Sugar competes with vitamin C getting into the white cells, okay, of the body. White cells are those cells that kill bacteria and go after viruses and everything. So what happens is because it competes with it, the vitamin C doesn't get into the white cell. The sugar does. And what that does is the vitamin C is required for the white cell to be active to go out and find bacteria, engulf it, and kill it. So all of a sudden you put your white cells, your phagocytes, to sleep. This in essence is what you do. Okay? So that's why you don't want this stuff. If it lasts for 5 hours, it never gets going. And so you're very susceptible to whatever shows up, whatever's available around you. So if the flu's coming through, guess who gets hit? The cold comes through, guess who gets hit? Whatever you've got in you already starts to grow because nothing's keeping it under control. So that's why sugar is so significant and important to keeping you healthy. You want to avoid the flu this year? Get off the refined starch, get off the refined sugars. Eat the real stuff and real food.